ready. Just 2 races to go. This is the Grand Prix of Portland. Let's go.
I thought Will Power would get a jump, but it's Christian Lundgaard in that white and yellow car. The rookies looking to the inside.
Hinch, here they come.
Here they are, guys, 3 wide. Everyone trying to make it through. I see Colin Herta contact with Felix Rosenqvist. 3 wide through turn 2, but amazingly, everybody gets through that first corner. We're breaking a trend here, but the lap's not over. Let's see if they can keep it tidy for another 10.
I don't believe what I've just seen.
It is a miracle indeed. Nobody apparently with hard contact. I saw Rinus VeeKay in that solid orange car making a brilliant outside move, but talk about brilliance. The rookie, Lundgaard, as cars are off track in the back. That's Grosjean in the yellow and red DHL car.
Trying to keep that Infiniti Autosport Honda under control. Look at it slipping and sliding on the dirt and grass. Grosjean's back on track. Rejoins behind Marcus Ericsson.
David Malukas there in the the white, red, and black car making a move on Felix Rosenqvist in the McLaren. Here comes Malukas, so impressive at the last race in Gateway. His first podium finish, came home second. It is rookies on the charge here in Portland.
Christian Lundgaard is up to second. Hinch, what do you see?
I see a great lead already from Scott McLaughlin. Everybody nose to tail. No one making a big lunch here. As I say that, one of the Meyer-Shank cars taking a look, but lockstep right now. A lot of curve being used. Everyone well behaved so far. 1 lap in. This is a great start.
It's a great start also for McLaren's Pato O'Ward, because as you see on the pylon there, O'Ward is on the harder black tire. The fact that he's able to hold position in 4th, that's going to help. It's going to help him to run a long stint and battle against those softer red tire cars early on. Watch this replay with Grosjean. How many times is Grosjean going to try the outside only to get shoved off the racetrack? That's happened to him 4 or 5 times this season.
It was Dixon on the inside, the Sexton Properties all black number 14, that's AJ Foyt's, Kyle Kirkwood, and then Romain Grosjean says, I'm going to try and sweep around the outside. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for the former F1 man.
The lead that Scott McLaughlin have is not a surprise with the pace we've seen of these Penske's. The big surprise is this man right here, Joseph Newgarden. He has fallen back to 10th, under attack now from Graham Rahal, who's going to get that position, guys, on the outside of turn 1. Obviously, he's on the primary, Rahal on those softer alternates, but very surprised to see the number 2, Hitachi Chevrolet falling back from that 8th place starting position.
Well, this is the man who led 38 laps last year, Graham Rahal in the Quartz Engine Oil Honda for Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. Graham is up to 10th place now and on a charge.
O'Ward still on those black tires, the harder compound like we talked about. Pillow on the reds as you see the Firestone telemetry. We're not at the crossover point yet where Pato O'Ward should start to be advantaged with those harder tires lasting longer and the red tires starting to fall off. So we'll keep an eye on the lap time as you watch the telemetry lower left. O'Ward 170 miles an hour plus 175, almost 180 going into those fast 2 corners to complete the lap here at Portland. No fuel save, so it is full tilt, pushing as hard as he can as Taylor Kyle, his strategist, watches on and analyzes when do you bring this guy in. On the harder black tire, you're going to run him long.
Romain Grosjean is coming in. He was in that tussle in the opening. He had fear that there was some damage to the front wing. They said the balance was still good. The front wing is okay, but you see a couple of big turns on the front wing, but that's also because they're changing from the primaries to the alternate Firestones.
Here's Scott Dixon, who again started mid-pack. They started on the black tires, and a host of other cars coming in now. So these are all mid-pack cars just trying something different here to get some track position.
Joseph Newgarden, the first Team Penske driver to hit pit lane.
Here comes the Hitachi Chevy, and it has been a little bit of a frustrating opening stanza to this race, Kevin, for Joseph Newgarden.
But not that surprising, because he started on the primaries, the blacks. They're not as quick, and they really don't get you any better life. So they expected to just try to survive, get in as soon as they can. This is on strategy for Joseph Newgarden. Now he goes to the alternates. He should have some clear track. We know this car is fast. He qualified second yesterday, so keep an eye on what Newgarden can do.
Scott Dixon on VeeKay. He's going to cross him up at the exit, probably get on push to pass. Indeed, all 6 of the green lights lit up, both sides of the steering wheel.
Kevin's with David Malukas.
He started on the alternate, so he's going to go to the primaries this time around. Maluka said the car is pretty good. He's got some traffic as he mixes back out. Colton Herta there, you see in the black and yellow Gainbridge car. He said, my car is great. Remember, he brushed the wall in qualifying. They fixed it, got him out to qualify 7, but he said that even in his fast lap, the car was bent. He thinks it's really good today.
Man, that was a massively brave overtaking maneuver from Scott Dixon on Rinus VeeKay there into the back straight into turn 10, Townsend. That's a fifth gear, 140-mile-an-hour corner, and he just sends it around the outside.
And a 50-50 situation. I didn't know how VeeKay would treat that, but full respect VeeKay gave to Scott Dixon, the 6-time champ, and Dixon flexing his authority to get to the front. Meanwhile, look at Palou on Rosenqvist.
The high-low, Felix Rosenqvist went in a bit deep. He's going to have to defend now against Joseph Newgarden, who's going to get a great exit out of turn 7. Easy pass there for the number 2.
Here's third place, Will Power. Kevin.
And he comes in and he's going to a scuffed set of reds. He just said on the radio, I think the blacks are better. He was on reds, so I'm not sure if he's just looking at what he's seeing from his competitors or has figured something out. But Power blends back in.
So far, I'm not seeing any advantage for the blacks as Pato O'Ward has fallen a full 12 seconds behind Scott McLaughlin, who started on the reds. So O'Ward hanging on to these black tires. The lap times have stabilized right at about 1 minute. 0.5.
And if the speculation was correct that Lundgaard started on the scuffed reds, even used reds are better than blacks at this point, it looks like.
This.
Side by side, Colton Herta, Felix Rosenqvist.
He gets through on Rosenqvist. Rosenqvist is still getting those tires up to temp after his most recent stop. Felix said this was their best race a year ago.
And Rosenqvist on blacks and struggling to hold off Colton Herta, Alexander Rossi on the reds. Dylan, here comes Pato O'Ward, almost certainly going to put the red tires on.
He is indeed. He's got a set of sticker reds laid out, so that's what they'll do. They're done with the black tires now. That's what they started on. So it can be reds from here if they want it to be. Front wing change, 1 turn for Pato. By the way, Lundgaard did start on used reds. They're going to save their stickers for the end of the race.
Teammate on teammate there. You saw the yellow and black Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herta round up Alexander Rossi, his Andretti Autosport teammate. Now O'Ward is released out in front of Dalton Kellett, and he gets out ahead of David Malukas, just a couple of cars back.
The leader at Portland International Raceway, Scott McLaughlin, has made his stop. It was a good one, 7.5 seconds. He goes to a used set of reds and is back out on track.
So there is some frantic racing going on a little further back, Kev, headed by that green car, that Ridgeline Lubricants Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing of Alex Palou. Then David Malukas, the Hitachi Chevy of Joseph Newgarden, the Gainbridge Honda of Colton Herta. Boy, it has been hectic, and here's Herta on Newgarden. Thought about it, thought twice.
That's a tough corner to try to make an outbraking maneuver into turn 4 there. It's a pretty quick entry. Colton Herta thought the better of it, but these two have been trading back and forth, and now Dylan, Christian Lundgaard, the leaders in the pit.
He is indeed. They're going to take off a set of used reds, put on a set of another used reds, and a little delay on the fuel there. Just getting the nozzle pulled out of the car, but another set of used reds that should stay for Lundgaard.
Where does Lundgaard blend out? Will Power and Scott McLaughlin already pitted. Here comes McLaughlin. Where's Power? Could get close down here in turn 1. There goes Power. Not close at all.
You saw in the bottom box too, Joseph Newgarden execute a move on David Malukas. That was pretty swift. Good work. So Newgarden gets himself back up into the top 10. There he is. And Herta is lining up a shot on the young rookie.
But James, just think about how painful that fuel hesitation was. That was probably a second and a half, and that can make the difference for track position as the Andretti drivers of Herta and Rossi continue to just dog David Malukas. Herta the inside of Malukas there. What a brilliant move. Here comes Dixon inside of Malukas. So Dixon forward. And in an all-green race, if you started on blacks and did a short stint in terms of aggregate pace, that's the strategy. So potentially an advantage there for somebody like Pato O'Ward, who is only 7 seconds now back of Lundgaard.
But when all this cycles through, fellas, Scott McLaughlin is going to have a very tidy lead over his teammate, Will Power. So we're still waiting on Eilert until now. Eilert hits pit lane, and then Marcus Ericsson will be the last to pit. And it's going to come out with the Freightliner Chevy with a handy lead. Dylan?
So here's Callum Eilert, who stayed out longer than anybody, and he will come down here and make his stop. He started on the red tires, so I believe they're going to go to the blacks here. And they've had a good solid weekend. Pace has been good, just trying to make sure that they can finish the deal here and get a good result to match that pace they've had.
This is going to be a critical blend here, guys.
Coming out in the thick of it, Hinch.
He is, but he's on cold, harder black tires. Watch Dixon should be able to drive by pretty easily.
It's a tough place to do it. Like I said, it's not a huge brake zone, and he didn't want to just fire it down there from that far back.
Look at the back of Ilot's car, Squirrel. Ilot doing a brilliant job to defend. Dixon could try to shove it in right here.
You can see he already took a wider line entering 6, trying to focus on the exit. Here he goes, big lunge into turn 7.
Nicely done, and lining up for a shot too is Rinus VeeKay. That all-orange Bitnile car squeezes through.
Credit to Callum Ilott for checking his mirrors on that one. That was from pretty far back, as Rinus VeeKay is now going to look into 10 on Dixon.
Oh my! That's at about 140 miles an hour.
And that's the second time that Dixon has closed the door on VeeKay. VeeKay might start losing patience.
Scott McLaughlin has led 27 of the 30 laps thus far and just looks controlled. He looks fast. He looks smooth. It's all going to plan.
Picture perfect, just like the grandeur of the Pacific Northwest. I mean, I can just see how relaxed McLaughlin's left hand is. Look at that left thumb's not even really clinching the wheel that hard. Just fingertip driving right here, taking care of the tires, making sure not to introduce too much slip angle or any lock front or rear in the brake zones. McLaughlin with that 6-second gap, except he has not run the harder tire yet. It's going to get harder for McLaughlin, just not yet.
But neither has Power, neither has Lundgaard. So the two drivers he's really racing, Ericsson, of course, still has yet to pit. They're going to have to all do a stint on the primaries, probably at the same time coming up here, likely in that next stint. But guys, we've seen this from Scott McLaughlin. When he starts up front and is out front, he is nearly untouchable.
Here is the final car to hit pit road. Dylan Welsh has more.
And it's Marcus Ericsson in the PNC colors this weekend. So he started on the black tires. They've got an extra set of sticker reds because of a qualifying effort near the back of the field in 18. So they've got that sticker set, one of those sticker sets on now for Ericsson.
So look at that number, lap 33. That gives you a pretty good idea of what fuel range looks like when we get to the end of this race. That means you could make your last stop at right around lap 77 and still get home.
But the strategy hasn't really played out on the overcut for Marcus Ericsson. He ends up blending out in P18, so running all that distance, just kind of losing lap time to the people on fresher tires. He is going to have shorter stints coming up, but not a lot of track position on that one.
Now, Romain Grosjean in the DHL Honda for Andretti Autosport has just served a penalty. Here is the reason why. Okay, so he goes through the signs and does not come back around and complete the correct follow-through. He should have gone further to his left and zigzagged throughout that chicane, that temporary chicane, and then come back on. Instead, he kind of did a shortcut.
Keep an eye on this battle for 5th. It's Palou, Newgarden, and Rahal. Palou and Newgarden have been running nose to tail, and I'm sure Joseph Newgarden desperately would like to get by at this stage of the stint. They're both on equal tires, but with the other two Team Penske drivers at the front and Newgarden in the hunt for the championship, he's going to get more and more antsy to get by with every lap.
Yeah, when you look at the track map and where all the cars are, there definitely seems to be a bit more of a train behind Alex Palou right now than anywhere else on the racetrack, so that definitely tells you he's running a slower lap time than what a lot of those cars behind him could do. And Joseph Newgarden, as you say, going to be doing everything to get ahead of him and that clean, fresh air that's in front of him. Here he goes.
Here we go. Looking the inside. Newgarden's got it. What a move.
Decisive on the brakes, Townsend. Very late, committed into turn 10, but kept it under control.
Elbows out and foot down. Newgarden is clear and away. And now further up the road, it's Pato Award. So head down now for Newgarden.
Here's Graham Rahal on Alex Palou. Pulls out of the draft, rounds him up. This was a great run by Rahal here last year, and he's having another one.
And Palou has plenty of seconds to push to pass left, 92, but it sure seems like he's getting freight trained there on the straightaways.
Yeah, it didn't necessarily look like he got to it, or maybe just didn't get to it quite as quickly as Graham Rahal, because that was a pretty big jump. You see Graham with a lot more push to pass on the pylon there, 145 seconds to Palou's 92, and we're not even halfway done this race. Palou's more than halfway done his push to pass allocation.
The strategy is working for Newgarden. He suffered through the primaries on the first stint. He used sticker reds. He's now moved up about 4 positions. Another used set of reds. Back out, Dylan.
It's used reds for Scott Dixon as well. Just waited on the fuel. Dixon's moved forward a little bit. Was running around the 10th spot when he pitted there. We'll see where he blends.
Here comes his teammate Alex Palou in the green Ridgeline Lubricants car, so he tucks in behind his teammate. This is very reminiscent of last year, except the positions are very, very different.
And two Penske's are going to come in. The top two in the race, Scott McLaughlin there in the blue and black Freightliner car. And there you see Will Power running second in the Verizon car at pit out. This is the primary stint for Scott McLaughlin. He easily wins that race off pit road. And now Will Power also, he exits. Watch the blend.
Pato O'Ward in the Arrow McLaren SP machine. He's released. So McLaughlin was able to get out ahead there of Jimmy Johnson, so to get some clear track. Power comes out ahead of Callum Ilott. Can Pato O'Ward get out ahead of Christian Lundgaard? This is going to be close.
Lundgaard's on hot tires, but they're black, so O'Ward just needs to eliminate wheel spin here. Don't get too crazy and get down to turn 4 in the lead. He should be okay.
It might come down to a battle out of turn 7. Who can get the traction down and on the push to pass the fastest? But you can see this pit cycle, the overcut by the 5 crew. Looks like it's worked, Townsend.
One more corner to go here for Pato O'Ward. This is the hard one. 7 on cold tires. The right-hander, Lundgaard, has a good run as Connor Daly comes to pit lane.
It looked like a small fire in the Buckeye in the fuel nozzle of Connor Daly's car. Maybe I missaw that, but...
No, you did. I saw flames there in the Buckeye too, but O'Ward survived. So now Lundgaard really has to just try to hang on to the tail end as you see what happens to Connor Daly.
Big dribble of fuel there, and look at that. Off he goes.
I know it looks dramatic, guys, but that's not something that the teams panic about too much. A fire of that size is not uncommon. It just burns itself out quite quickly.
It also helps warm up the right rear.
Yeah.
Christian Lundgaard, who we ride with, the Shield Cleansers on board, up against Joseph Newgarden in the Hitachi Chevy. It's Ray Hall, Letterman, Lanigan versus Team Penske.
And it's red tires versus black tires. Joseph on those softer tires, super close through turn 12 here, Townsend. He's going to have a really good shot at it into turn 1.
Perfect exit for Newgarden. On push to pass with coaching from the pit box. Lundgaard defends to the inside, but Newgarden switches him up.
Nice work, nice work. Another one done. And in comparison, Newgarden is deficient on push to pass in comparison to Lundgaard, who tries to attack and counter-attack.
That was a classic Joseph Newgarden move. We used to love that one back in the day.
Always a game of chicken. Who's going to break later? In the case of Newgarden, he went for the shake and bake prep.
Out comes Ericsson, right in Rosenquist, bottom box. They're wheel to wheel. Who's going to give in here? I think Ericsson's going to have to on the colder tires.
And now David Malukas is showing up on the cold tires of, Marcus Ericsson side by side through turn 5. Just doesn't have the grip to hang on to it.
VK on Palou.
Down the inside in turn 7, pretty textbook stuff. Again, the red tires versus the blacks.
Good job.
there.
Go.
Gives him the advantage on the brakes. Pretty clean move there. Colton Herta had just got by Palou as well. And look how quickly both of them are starting to pull away from the 10 car.
Take you back and show you David Malukas versus Marcus Ericsson.
We talked about how difficult it was to pull a move off in that corner, but he had to capitalize on the warm tires he had versus the cold tires of Marcus Ericsson just coming out of pit lane there in the blue and orange car.
What happened to Jimmy Johnson here?
American Legion on board out of turn 6, just a little bit of the right rear into the grass, but touches absolutely nothing and maintains the record of spins without contact.
Well, let's talk about the gap. We've been watching Power to O'Ward. What about Power to try to catch up to McLaughlin? When this stint started, it was about 4 seconds. It got to 6.5. And listen, here's why.
Try to still get him while we're close. I don't know what his problem is. Speak to him. You could almost crash with him. Can't use any more push to pass if we've used way too much.
He was talking about the A.J. Foyt racing car of Dalton Keld. He was stuck behind him for a little while, had to use push to pass. He was lapped at the time. Now has cut another 2.5 into that gap.
It's this man here who made his 305th consecutive start earlier today. In his previous 21 seasons, he has been a championship contender in 11 of those 21 going into the final round. That is extraordinary. And by the way, Dixon has come from 16th on the grid up to 8th. Never take your eyes off Scott Dixon.
Connor is fine.
Okay.
I was told it burned his shoulder. Okay, so he did get hot, so it's kind of in between. It was less than comfortable, but Connor did not suffer burns. It burned up the clutch. So I think that's good to clarify.
Yes, for sure.
Yes, very much so.
Thank you for the update on that.
Yes, good news.
4 layers of Nomex between the driver's skin and the outside world usually keeps you safe in those situations. AMR safety team just checking on them, and all thumbs up.
But the bad part is it's a DNF with just 1 race left in the season.
Here comes Lundgaard.
He was starting to hemorrhage time, so Dylan, this was about time that he dove for the pit lane.
Yeah, and he was ready. Christian was. He was asked to close the gap, and he said simply, I can't. So they've got a set of sticker reds that they saved for this last stint. Made a front wing change, waiting on the fuel. Oh, and he stalled. That is not what they needed, obviously, and that's going to derail their entire plan. Dixon in at the bottom of your screen, as is Alex Palou. Pit road is busy, guys.
That is brutal for Christian Lundgaard. He had the fuel probe get stuck earlier, then stalls it on pit lane. He'll lose a massive number of positions.
Race leader is in. Kevin Lee, he's coming your way.
I think all 3 of the Penske's are coming in this lap, but the leader in that blue and black Freightliner car is going to get there first, but he's going to have to weave around the Joseph Newgarden crew. There you're seeing Castroneves go by, Power diving into his pit box. Newgarden there right in front of McLaughlin. Let's see what the tire choice is. They are doing the primaries for Newgarden, and it is used red for McLaughlin. Back out.
See what happens between Power and Award. Power gets back to the position he held. Newgarden fourth, so no change in the front.
Well, it took to the 84th lap, but there is now a caution. And unfortunately for the driver of the Carvana Honda, Jimmy Johnson, he is the reason.
That is down in turn 1, except I'm guessing this happened in the final corner. No, look at this. Rinus VeeKay making a move on Jimmy Johnson. What happened here?
Oh my goodness, just turned right back into Jimmy Johnson.
Let's get a better angle here. This does not look like Jimmy Johnson's fault at all.
No, that's an insane move from Rinus VeeKay. Just assumed Jimmy was going to lift at that point and not carry his line into the corner. A very surprising. I mean, wow. Jimmy's as surprised as anybody here. That's
a huge miscalculation from VeeKay.
Here we go. Caution over.
Green.
We go back to racing with 22 laps remaining here at Portland International.
McLaughlin with a perfect jump on the throttle. Look at him swerve to clean up his tires and break the draft. Here's Award.
Big move from Pato Award. He hits Will Power, runs wide. Rossi's in the mix.
Look at Dixon. Look at Dixon with a run on Award. Dixon's going for third now. That was blocked.
We knew it was going to be wild, and it didn't fail. It didn't fail.
Alexander Rossi was trying to put the move on a Joseph Newgarden. They both got pushed wide by Will Power and Pato Award checking up, and Dixon, the big winner.
Pato Award has to be careful. That looked awfully defensive, awfully in reaction to Dixon's move.
And Award's got damage on the left side of the car. Look towards the left rear. Dixon now in the draft. This is where we're going to start talking about push to pass and who's in better shape. Dixon not close enough this lap.
Yeah, but Dixon closing on Award in that final corner.
Drive-through penalty, 21, Rinus VeeKay, no surprise. Let's take you back to turn 1. Watch the third car and shot, the orange and black machine of Pato Award on Will Power. He'll dive to the inside, just like Rossi does on Newgarden.
But man, from way back, Pato Award, a little bit of contact. Both drivers keep it together, but checking them up.
I mean, Award could get a penalty for hitting Power, and he could get a penalty for this. Watch Award move Dixon over as well as Dixon pops out.
The blocking rule says you cannot move in reaction to the car behind you. Scott had already pulled out when Pato makes the move. Now on board into 1 with Pato. Man, he came from far back down, so that was a brave move.
I mean, that's an easier penalty to give right there. Although Power was able to continue.
Yeah, I think because he was able to continue, no real issue there.
There's a shot out the back of the Freightliner car from McLaughlin.
Oh! I'm going to say no action. They're going to say keep racing.
That's racing.
Oh, that's not what they're saying. They're saying now that Pato Award has to give up a position to Scott Dixon. And as Dixon goes by, that side bod damage on Award, and what does that do for the points as they run right now? It puts Scott Dixon right into the mix. 20 points back in the championship.
16th to 3rd. The PNC Bank Honda, the 6-time champion, is not done with yet.
Now that penalty was for the block on Scott Dixon. Still no action for turn 1 with Will Power. That's just good hard racing. Both guys came out okay. That was the right call, I think, from race control to give that position back to Scott Dixon.
I'm laughing, Hinch, because if you were Will Power, you're like, that was not good hard racing. That was a good hard slam of my side pod in turn 1.
But they both came out the other side. Neither car's, well, Pato's car's damaged. Will's fine. And I think Joseph Newgarden's coming under threat here.
Yeah,
a little bit further back.
Get Scott between me and him.
Here you go. Graham Rahal, Colton Herta, or sorry, Graham Rahal, Joseph Newgarden.
And then Colton Herta in the background in that black and yellow Gamebridge Honda. He got by his teammate, Alexander Rossi. Let's go for a ride down the front straight as he works on Newgarden. Enjoy the ride. Track position, inside line, gotcha. Another one checked off Colton Herta's list. The Californian moves up to 6th now.
Joseph Newgarden had to be smart there. He only has 11 seconds of push to pass remaining as Alexander Rossi now tries to size him up, and he is on those black sidewall primary
and
tires.
Newgarden's got to be regretting, Hinch, that decision to finish on blacks. You could tell there was indecision on the radio, but they're really paying the price right now. Here comes Christian Lundgaard, too, all over the back of Alexander Rossi. Lundgaard kind of faded in the middle on the hard black tires, but strong on this final stint on the reds. He's on push to pass.
At this stage of the race, with 19 to go, the way they run, 2 drivers would be eliminated from championship contention. Rossi on the inside of Newgarden now, and those 2 drivers would be Alex Palou, the defending series champion, and Pato O'Ward.
Yeah, Newgarden just not letting himself touch his push to pass button. He's saving it for if there's another situation later, but Rossi's burned down to 7. He's only got 1 honest push left. Lundgaard takes a look into 1, but not quite close enough. Newgarden runs wide. He's going to do the over-under. Now Lundgaard going through turn 3, clears Joseph Newgarden.
Brilliant stuff.
Not good for Newgarden. You know why? That elevates Dixon to 2nd in the championship points, just by that 1 pass.
Wow. Dixon is just under a second behind Will Power. Championship leaders is Takuma Sato. Haven't talked much about him today, but he bunny hops the chicane.
The MyJack Honda of Christian Lundgaard. What a shame.
Oh.
Big dive up the inside and then overshoots turn 1 only to smash into the NTT signage, and that thing got stuck for an entire lap.
And that made the right-handers, of which Portland is mostly consists of right-hand corners, made the right-handers treacherous and extremely slow for Lundgaard to get all the way back to pit lane.
As you see right now, Team Penske running 1 and 2. This is emblematic of the whole weekend. Practice, qualifying, and race. Team Penske tested here in the past couple of weeks. They have been the power team this weekend.
Look at that orange and blue Scott Dixon, the biggest mover in this race, up 13 positions. There are a lap and a half left in this race.
It's races like this that have kept Scott Dixon in the championship hunt for 11 of his 20 seasons. You know, he just manages to salvage results after a bad qualifying or even a bad start to a race. Him and his Chip Ganassi Racing squad are just incredible in these clutch moments as they get the white flag, 1 to go.
Less than 2 miles between Scott McLaughlin and a 3rd career victory. What an amazing weekend he has had, and he would give Team Penske its 3rd road course win of the year. So that'd be 3 on the ovals, 3 on the streets, and 3 on the road courses. So the most dominant team in the 2022 season. No surprise that one of its 3 drivers are leading the way.
And those hands in those white gloves from Scott McLaughlin have been only steady all day long. You have not seen 1 moment of flurry, 1 moment of sideways. It is calm, confident, determined, quiet hands and fast driving from McLaughlin.
The year started with a pole position and a victory to this young New Zealander. And then he went on and won at Mid-Ohio as well. Scott McLaughlin got the pole in dominant fashion yesterday. Scott McLaughlin wins the Grand Prix of Portland for his 3rd career win.
53 to the moon, let's go. Well done, team. Woo!
He likes to call their team the Thirsty Threes, and the Thirsty Threes will celebrate tonight. 104 of the 110 laps led. That was McLaughlin's day.
What was the key to this drive and holding everyone else behind you?
Yeah, I don't think the car felt really good in that first stint, but as the race went on, sorry Benny, it got a little bit worse. So just had to really sort of concentrate on where I wanted the strengths in the car and work with those, and then the weaknesses I just tried to make the best of them. So, but the Freightliner Chevy all weekend's been fast, and it's been right there where we needed it, and the team, the 33s, got the job done in the pits. I'm really proud of them. We did exactly what we needed to do this weekend, and that was win and get max points and keep ourselves in the fight. Yeah, we're a long shot, I don't care, but we're a shot, and I'm looking forward to it.
Watch the Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey Sunday, September 11th at 3 p.m. on NBC.